If, like me, you've had a WordPress site for some number of years, then you'll probably find that your settings and database are now getting a bit cluttered up with bits of old themes and plugins that you no longer use. This means that every time somebody loads your page, there's going to be more calls on your database, and it has to be sifted through. So it's probably quite a good idea to have a bit of a spring clean and get rid of all that obsolete data that left over that just really isn't any use anymore. Now for this tutorial I'm going to assume that you have your own domain, which means you most likely have access to a cPanel. If you're working through WordPress site itself or some other hosting, I'm afraid I'm not able to tell you how to do this, but this is how I do this, working in my own domain and using my own cPanel. Right, firstly log into your back end of your WordPress. Now I'm running a multi-site on my domain. One's in English, one's in Spanish. It's actually the same site, but one's just a translation of the other. So you can see here I go up to network settings, but if you've only got one site, it's possibly just in settings. You'll have to check that for yourself. And I select the site that I want to edit, which in this case is the English site. I then click edit and it opens the following window. When that's open, if you run on down to settings on the right of the tabs, it opens up all the primary settings that WordPress is using, like whether comments are allowed and all the data that you normally don't have anything to worry about because WordPress sorts it all out for you. But it's in here that all the clutter that's been stored over the years still shows up, because this is what's reading your mySQL database. The next thing to do is to log into your cPanel. Here you can see I've already logged in. Yes, I know it's a horrible color, but I have to change the colors of the cPanels because I manage a number of websites and I don't want to go and change something in somebody else's cPanel instead of mine. So scroll on down and you will get to, in databases, you'll see over on the right an icon called PHP MyAdmin. Click that. It will then open this window. This is my PHP admin. Over here on the left you can see that is the database that you're working in, the lower of the two. If you press the plus, you'll see that all the little tables, all the data in your tables comes up there on the left hand side. Now what we've got to do is edit this. So by clicking the link that's of your database, not information schema, that will open all those tables on the right hand side, in the pane on the right hand side, in which we can do a search. And it's at this point that things get a little bit tricky. But all this on the right hand side is what's contained in that column on the left. Go up to the top bar here and press search. It'll open this window, and into the field you can see that I'm going to type the word zigzag, which is part of an old theme that I no longer require. I now click into this space to search inside the tables, but we want to select all of them. So by Control A or Command A if you're on Macintosh, you can select all the tables, go to the right and click go, and you can see that it is now searching. That will return a search result on that term zigzag, and from there onwards we will be able to delete all that obsolete data that we no longer need. This is the result of the search that we've just done, and now you can see that by searching on zigzag, as I scroll down, you can see down here that we've got a result down here. It says there's 16 things. So what we do is we click browse, and browse will then open the following window, and there you can see all the stuff that's related to zigzag. You can see that in the middle column that's highlighted now. Now we don't want any of that, so that's what we're going to delete. And the way to do it is, if there was just one thing, obviously you just press the delete button, but in this case we're going to check all, and we're going to go to the right and go delete. and that will start deleting the stuff. It actually does it very quickly, but sometimes my PHP admin doesn't return you the result as quickly as you'd like, but it's going to open another window saying, are you sure? And yes, in this case we're sure, and there it is. So we head up over to the right and we click yes, we want to get rid of all this rubbish. And this is the point where sometimes my PHP admin just sort of stops and stays on this screen, but you can come off that, go back into the column on the left hand side underneath the my PHP admin title, and do the same search again that you just did for whatever item or term is that you were looking for, and you'll see that this time it's gone and you've effectively cleaned your database of all that clutter that you didn't want. Scrolling up and down, you'll now see that the data has in actual fact gone, and you've done a great job. So work away, enjoy yourself, and be careful inside databases because you can throw everything horribly out. Make a backup first. Now we're back inside the back end of WordPress, and you can see this is my settings that I had loaded before. So if I now do a refresh on the screen, you will see presently that all that data that we've just erased now no longer appears in your settings in the back end of WordPress. So you've just confirmed that you have indeed deleted that data from WordPress. It often comes about that my PHP admin throws up data in a number of different places. There might be in some relocation tables and that sort of thing. I'm afraid you're just going to have to play with that and see. I had one the other day that had over 2,000 different pieces of metadata that I had to get through. It was a nightmare because I could only find a way of doing it in lumps of 30. But basically you just get rid of everything that your search in the back end of my PHP admin found to do with that search string that you used in the first place. And when you go back into your back end of WordPress here in the settings, you'll find that all of that data has been erased, and you now have a much cleaner MySQL database table, which should be faster and enable people to load your site a little bit more quickly, and that's really what counts in this day and age. Thanks for watching this tutorial. I hope it's been of help.